Hi, ladies and gents. Thanks for joining us again for Resident Alien Episode 5. I believe I've got a problem on my mic, so I'm going to mute and I'll leave it to Jim and Colin to fire away. On you go, guys.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, Colin, we are now more than halfway through this one. Are you getting the same feeling I'm getting, that it is just filler episodes that we're getting at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was looking down the interesting. I was looking up the. I actually couldn't remember most of what happened in this episode. I watched it on Friday. So I was actually looking up the IMDb, and I'm thinking there's the top review. I thought was actually very up. 6 out of 10 is the review is to distract you from there being no plot this season. They've thrown a surprise character and a fun picnic.
Yeah,
a few funny moments. Harry's got the jokes, but mostly meh.
I will say though, I did like because obviously they're trying to play on the alien not understanding the humanity that well, even though he's starting to get into it, and boom, out of nowhere, his daughter is turning up. Well, the body he's inhabited, that body's daughter has turned up.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of liked it because even though she was supposed to be a little bit of blue-dyed hair, crazy, whatnot, they actually didn't play anything on it. It was just like she's a little bit rebellious. She's got like stud tattoos all across her face with nose rings and tongue and lip piercings and everything. It was more his awkwardness counted completely because she couldn't actually nail anything down to like jump on. It's like, oh, you're completely bad for this. It's like, I actually found that a bit refreshing, but on the other side of it, it's like if I was a father and being estranged from daughter or child or anything, it's like I wouldn't like to know that an alien would do 10 times better job than I did.
Yes. I was just look. The actress is 24.
And she's supposed to play what, 15?
So
16.
yeah, so it's not no. But yeah, I mean, I think definitely it was definitely a rebellious teenager rather than anything else. The hair dye and the rest was hair. I think that was.
Astra said to the guy that she was 16.
Oh, right, okay, 16. Okay.
Yeah.
So even if she was a bit older than that and she was just saying that to get rid of him, you're still talking about 16 to 18. There's no way she was meant to be 24.
No, so no. What I'm saying is, the actor. I was just looking up because to get a general idea. Yeah, but yeah, as you say, but yeah, I mean, she was teenage. So I think it's definitely a rebellious teen. I mean, especially since she's obviously mum and dad have split up and so on. So there's obviously that's why the coloured hair rather than blue haired. Unless of course they were they were having a go at the blue haired trope, but purely in passing, because she certainly wasn't anything you'd associate with blue haired these days.
She was definitely not the Karen in any sense of the world. There was no lecturing or telling the parents off to. It was like, oh, go screw yourself. I kind of actually got, even though it was a crude opening. So yeah, my mom flew off to Italy and she's now being fingered on the Vespa. It's like, I found that the bluntness, I actually found it a bit refreshing, but it was more, you saw her side of it. It's like my mom would rather go off and find a handsome guy somewhere else than actually taking care of me. They're supposed to go through school, review school reports, stuff like that, which a parent should do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, my thoughts in this episode, although it was a bit more refreshing than the last two, is the last two Girls' Night was very full woke, very girl centric, and even down to the point where they used the fallacy of the wage gap.
Yes.
And then the one after it, can't even remember the name of it. It was that bad.
Yeah, but I'm actually starting to think, seeing this episode, that
They went the
they
opposite way.
meant the last episode as, yes, we'll push this in your face, but we actually don't mean it. It's meant as the comedy part of it.
Yes, this time they went the opposite way because the daughter actually says the mum is bad,
Yeah.
even though the dad is bad. The mum is bad as well.
Mm.
The woke guy wrote a song with blood and violence and bits of body parts. And
That's a whole separate thing, and I would like to
yeah, but
discuss
that's what I'm
that
saying.
later,
They were
because
going the
that's
opposite way. Where there's the last time it was all female empowering, and the women are getting screwed over because they're getting 76 cents in a dollar. This time they went the opposite way, whereas you've got the bad mum trope. You've
Mm.
got
yeah,
the woke guy
but
doing the ultra violent song and the song about
Maybe
parents and
Snowflake. And
uh
I'm not sure if they're trying to make this blend into the fact where they were actually fighting off the agents that actually kidnapped the kids and everything. And I can understand someone flipping. If you threaten any one of me or mine, I would definitely be angry. I would definitely do something. But they seem to have turned him into some kind of psychopath.
yes, that's what I'm
On
saying.
the
So they've
other hand,
taken the snowflake and actually made him so he's singing the songs, getting the kids to sing songs about blood and violence and about how their daddies died and they've got a new uncle daddy and their mummy's sad because her
Mm.
wine has been taken off her and stuff like that.
mm,
So it's
on,
almost taking it and completely dropped it in its head. Whereas it's the woke guy is the one that's doing the ultra violent stuff and the things about mentioning mummies and daddies when they always say you can't say that because not everybody's got one. And there's the woke guy writing the song about it for the kids to sing.
on the other hand,
Yeah.
at least Max wasn't being traumatized by seeing mummy and daddy having weird sex this week.
Well, I know, but
Yeah, trust me, kid sees everything. He's already traumatized. It's just not being shown in the TV show.
But I think they, as I said earlier, as I was saying to you in the green room, PJ, I think they so far it would certainly appear that the woke horror of Girls' Night Out was an anomaly. They don't. Yeah, the last two episodes. This one, they're getting better again. They just don't seem to have much storyline to actually go with at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like a filler kind of thing. They're waiting for something, because we already knew from the previous episode a phone number in New York, but they were just so stalling that whole thing
Yeah.
completely throughout this episode. And they don't have a lot of time left. They don't have enough minute left to actually dig in deeply on that.
No.
I think what they're going to do is next week. I think they're going to go to New York.
Yeah.
And the two episodes are going to be the New York based, and it's going to leave it in a cliffhanger. Unlike
Yep.
the last time where the cliffhanger could between season 1 and 2 could have actually just been edited out, so there wasn't a cliffhanger if they didn't get a second season. This one, I think they're expecting a third season, so it's going to be a cliffhanger, and that's a case of if you don't give us a cliffhanger, that means people are going to be up in arms. So I think they're going to deliberately do a cliffhanger over the next two episodes.
I will
With a
say
lot of
this:
questions.
Alan Tudyk's performance is still very good for it, and he's even helped by the squid Nathan Fillion a little bit, but it kind of sort of got sidelined completely by the fact that the daughter turned up, and he had to be put like in the cupboard or wherever he was put away in, so he couldn't like interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, that definitely seemed to be a distraction on the road, a literal roadblock
Yeah.
to them going to New York to find out what's going on there.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, it seemed to be the main purpose of that whole thing was again to make Harry more human.
But they did actually do that quite well, because here suddenly, out of left field, he has a daughter that he didn't know exists, and we've actually had it as a thread going through. It's like, oh no, we go off. We had the hanky panky in the cave, and the lady just brings out 500 eggs or whatever it is, and then we don't care. Whoever survives survives. We don't care, and that's been going on quite a lot through season 1 and season 2. And him getting that singular focus, I think that's actually a decent build up, because you actually get his perspective, so to speak. You kind of root for him to want to root for the human race, to not kill
Yeah.
everybody. But
Yeah, I'm still waiting
he's
for them to come early.
Yeah. But I think the thing is, yeah, I agree with you. But the thing is, it's because of the way they set up the end of last week's episode. Yes, it was good, and it's good development. I say it's good development on how it doesn't seem to do much for the overarching storyline, which is why I said it feels very much like a filler. But it does actually give you, you say something interesting, and it does contrast to what we know about how they raise their children. It's just, if they hadn't had that urgency of there's a phone call to one of my kind for a week.
You cut out there a bit, Colin.
So I said, like you get this urgency bit of, there's another one of my kind on Earth. Someone stuck in New York calling for help. We must go and sort this out. Oh no, hold on a second. Someone's turned up. It's family day. We'll leave that for another week.
Yeah, but
that's
it's
But
also
I will
for
give
help.
the family week, and I'm quite guilty of this, and it's something. Even when I have been over to the States, I am actually genuinely impressed with the way the American people are doing it in the small town, the communities,
Oh yeah.
potlucks, the fairs, the events, everything. It feels literally like they just dropping American #1. Yeah. It's like they're just dropping down. It's communities, and you see everybody and anybody. They're having a good time. There's good food. There's good entertainment, and it's for everybody. It's family, children's, moms and dads, people of the community. It's just quite inspiring, actually. I will say it is. It is what it should be. It is like, it's a nice Sunday afternoon. Sun is out. It's glorious weather. Food's on the table. Here's some entertainment stuff to do. It is actually quite inspiring, because it is what you work for. You want to go relax and have fun.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've got nothing wrong with it. To be quite honest, if they'd swap this one, and then maybe at the end of this one, that's when they'd found the New York thing, it might have been a wee bit more.
It would have moved at a better pace. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because as I say, I mean, this it's an overall. I think it's quite. The only real complaint I think about the episode, if I would have a complaint as such, is as we said, it feels very much like a filler. But you then have a hook, an urgency, an urgent mission to go on, if you like. And then, oh no, okay. As your T-shirt said last night, I think, was it? Okay, we're going to go off on a side quest instead.
Yeah, I'm not procrastinating. I'm doing side quests.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it felt a little bit like that. That you've got a main, you've got what is probably a major point in the main quest line, and you go off and do a side quest for a week. It felt a little bit like that. Whereas if they'd finished this one up,
it can be good and it can be bad. So I know the two of you may not be as big of gamer as I am. You have Skyrim, which has a big main story, which is really nice to follow, and you don't get too distracted by side quests. But then Fallout 4 came along, and it had all the bells and whistles and everything. It's like, oh, this is like the little town square where you are, and you can build fortifications and automated gun turrets and everything. But because I played it early on, there was no AI, there were no zombies or like radioactive mutants attacking you. It was a complete waste of time. And when I got out into the story, I was completely sidetracked by all the side quests. I had no reason to continue the main story because I actually forgot it so much because there was so many fun side quests. But the difference between, say, this TV show and Fallout 4 side quest is the side quest was actually entertaining. They actually had some value to you. There's like, oh, cool, I solved this problem. I fixed this thing. I did that thing. Whereas this feels, they're stuck on like a timeline, but they're trying to bend it as much as they can and not forwarding the story whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean, I don't think they've got much of a story for this season.
Yeah, it feels like they're waiting for maybe even season 4, if I'm being very grumpy, shall we say, about it.
Well, I mean, I do get the impression. One possibility is that they just did not know they were going to get season 2. Or more negative than that, they thought they were not going to get a second season until quite late, so they haven't had time to actually flesh out much of a storyline for the second season.
Yeah.
One might almost liken it in some ways to season 5 of Babylon 5, where they
finished the story, then they had to add in.
They finished the main storyline. I mean, obviously, that's different because you've got an extension of the storyline, etc.
I am certain if JMS had been given enough time, season 5 of Babylon 5 could have been a lot better.
Yes,
but it just felt so rushed. It was like, let's cram something in here.
Yeah.
So that's the flip side of the coin. It's like, oh, we're trying to hold out because we think we're getting something more. But I'd rather be told the story and lamenting it being too short, even though I got the story, rather than having fillers and going, I'm getting a little bit bored now.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to see where they're going. I mean, why they sent Harry to wipe out human life on Earth because human life is humanity's buggering up. There is an ecological what's the word I'm looking for? There's an ecological incentive for the story, if you like, in that.
The premise is basically from the film The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yes, definitely. Yes. So if someone goes up to Harry and goes, Klaatu Barada Niktu, we know exactly they fine accepted it. But yes, exactly. But why then has he's going to send his message off to his people, but what incentive is he going to give his people not to wipe out humanity?
You see, I'm actually expecting that to land. And thanks, Wendy, for popping in and just having a quick look, because we know you got your own stream in a couple of minutes. Good luck with that stream.
Oh, of course, yes. You've got the Mr. High one, haven't you? Excellent.
Yeah. But when it comes to this, we've not really been given the motivation. he spent significant time on Earth now, so he understands humanity a little bit, and
Yeah.
he is in love with Asta,
Yeah.
and she's kind of the thing bringing him back in, and it's like, no, you send a message to kill the planet 50 years from now. It's like, no, I'm going to kick that communicator over
Yeah.
because my grandchildren will be here. You will kill me regardless. And he's starting to get that concept. But how is he going to explain that to his
Yeah.
superiors? Because I think I might have misheard it or misread it a little bit, but he sounds like he's a very, very junior officer. I got the gist. I don't know what line it was, but I think it was something when he was at his cabin and the squid was talking to him as well, just before the kid came into the picture. It's like, oh, you're not even that high ranking.
Which gives an interesting question as well. I mean, oh, actually, no, it does. I was going to say, 'cause if they were going to destroy the Earth, are the squid going to do with dolphins and all disappear just before the Vogons turn up? But
No,
obviously, then
you're
they're not, because they're
misunderstanding it
not going to
because they're
destroy
not
the Earth. They're just
destroying
going to
the
kill
Earth.
humanity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They're wiping out humankind.
Yeah.
So all the animals, everything will still be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm
just
sure they
basically
show. I'm
remember
sure
that he
that's.
practiced with
Mm,
the body. All it does is just disintegrate the body, and the clothes and all that will still be there. Because you remember his dreams he had.
yeah.
Basically, he was outside, and all the bodies disappeared. The bike just ran, and the clothes just fell down.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
human bodies turned to dust. See, my
Yeah.
understanding of the way it's going at the moment is user assuming that the reception came in from his home planet. He didn't say that. He says he was receiving a signal, and it was a telephone number for New York.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think is it was the person in New York, maybe someone who had sent on a previous mission that went native,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all know
like Harry.
it's Miss Hamilton or Mrs. Hamilton.
I see,
No,
I've
because
not gone that far forward. I haven't looked at the names and everything. All I'm saying is the way I'm thinking of it based on this story is so far is this is someone who went native, and it was them saying they know the signal was sent because obviously they've got the technology to monitor, and then what they've done is send a signal to Earth from Earth saying contact me. And that's why, and I think the problem is it's going to be another going native person who had the same job, came down, landed in New York, got to know people, and decided not to carry it out.
well,
Hmm.
the episode synopsis are, if it's all big, bomb bomb, are Hasta and Harry and Asta travel to New York looking for one of his people, but things go horribly wrong. And that's it. That's the only. There's no cast details or anything on these ones yet. And then the second part is Harry and Asta find what they're looking for, but not what they need as danger closes in. And the last one is
Okay.
back for that for I think. I don't think it's the Men in Black because
Come
I
on,
thought,
Colin. You know what kind of film this, what TV show this is.
well,
The
yeah,
kids, the two kids, are obviously, despite Max now going away with mom for a couple of days,
mm,
both of them are gonna be on the New
In
York
New
trip.
York.
somehow,
You know that.
they're probably going to get lost on New York summer. It'll be interesting to see if they manage to avoid that because um we I said I mean we saw um Linda Hamilton's people intercept a signal. Which I thought I have an impression was that was the one that Harry got that had the phone number. So that wasn't them setting him up to this. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to go to New York, and Linda Hamilton's people are going to be closing in as well on the same thing. So whatever it is,
No,
uh,
I know what you're saying, but I think you missed it by a bit. I think they're going to go to New York. They're going to bump into Max, and that something's going to happen there, and it's all about the alien. It's when they come back, because this is episode 5, and if the next two are New York, that means the episode 8 is going to be back
Yeah,
in the town, and that's when Linda Hamilton's crew's going to turn up because they intercepted the signal. So they're not going to close in New York. They're going to close in where the signal was received.
they don't know where the signal's received. You can't
Yeah,
tell
that's
where
what
the
I'm saying. I
signal's
think they're
received,
going to
only where
try.
it's been
They're going to
transmitted
close
from.
in. So the last episode for this season is going to be to do with them turning up where Harry is. And if the next two episodes are in New York, I can't see
But
the third
they
episode being in New York.
the only way they would do that, I think, would be if they get a message. But again the short one line synopsis again, which is that we've got for the last one is alien dinner party. It's a surprise party. Everyone gathers to celebrate Harry. I'm not sure why, but some dangerous guests cause havoc. So yeah, you could well be right. They could turn up there.
But
I
why would they
suspect.
actually be a celebrating Harry?
I
That sounds
don't
a
know.
bit
It
weird.
just it literally says that's literally what it says.
Yeah, it
As
sounds a
everyone
bit
gathers
weird.
to
It's not
celebrate
as if
Harry.
he's
But it's,
basically
as I said, I mean,
apart from being a doctor, and he's not like
literally the next three episodes, they've literally got there's no past line, nothing. There's a one line plot. So obviously, what they're doing is they're putting the stuff up as they're not putting too much up ahead of time to spoil the episodes for people.
yeah.
So obviously, so that we're not. They don't want to put too much on the IMDb. That's actually going to possibly give too much away.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, I think they're going to be interesting ones to see what they do, because I mean, if the show maintains the kind of quality it's done at its best, I can't see them just being Harry and Asta.
Yeah, and actually,
York.
is it only 8 episodes this one? Because remember, the first season was
Yeah.
10 episodes.
Well, there's this is showing us all episodes. There is no episode 8 is showing us the last one so
Is it?
far.
It's just because the first season was 10 episodes. So cutting it down seems a bit weird.
Well, and unless there's going to be a couple on, there's only 8 episodes showing for season 2. And
weird one. Weird one.
Yeah, and episode 18. So again, IMDb, but again, 10 last episode, last season, 8 this season. I presume partially because of filming during COVID and the rest of it. A lot of things seem to be shorter this season. In some cases, that's better. That's good.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, it was quite convenient that Harry's daughter turned up in the town when the town's celebrating families. That was quite a convenient time for her to turn up.
But I mean,
what were your overall thoughts of this episode?
I thought it was. I thought it was another step up from the last one, and certainly from one before. As I say, I think possibly it might have disrupted the flow slightly less if this was the episode that if this came before they flew off to New York, or after they come back, rather than being interrupted between when they get the hint to go to New York and when they go to New York.
Yes, but I think they worked it quite well, whereas he was just trying to avoid it. And it was the family thing that actually made him decide he needed to do it. So
I agree.
See that. I can see both sides of that one. One, it just seemed a bit. They did it last week. Then there's a filler episode this week, and why didn't they go? But the filler episode is sort of saying that Harry's changed and he's scared to go in case people think he's changed.
Yeah,
So that's why he put it off, and it was the family thing that actually made him realise that no matter what, his family is in New York.
Yeah, I will say the whole daughter segment really actually surprised me a little bit. It was more father-daughter or father-offspring kind of connectivity, because I immediately jumped to all stupid conclusions, and I hate myself for having done that. It's like she's blue-haired, studs. She's done everything to make herself non-attractive and whatnot. All of those things. So I was expecting a lot more heavy-handed from the previous episode.
Yeah.
A lot more heavy-handed stuff, but no, this was actually wholesome. I would even say it was wholesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a bad mum trope rather than the bad dad trope for a change.
I mean, I would say it's a curse of the current day that you see that you see the blue hair and you immediately leap to those conclusions. I don't blame you, Jim, but it's nice that what they've done is that they then actually subvert our expectations, to the face, and turn her into just an ordinary rebellious teenager.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And also,
and I find that even more impressive, considering that if you look at the cast, none of the ladies that are heroes, shall we say, in this show, none of them are Hollywood super gorgeous darlings. They're your everyday, still fairly cute, some of them,
yeah, definitely.
average looking women. And it's like, yes, these are the women we would meet and see in the pub and everything. You wouldn't see a size -5 supermodel in the local pub. These are the ladies I would expect to be around me in the community. So they done that balance quite well. And I think it is still in play. They're trying to make fun of all the kind of wokeness stuff that they got so wrong for the last decade. But they're trying to actually make it grounded. I think grounded is probably the best word to use for it. It's grounded. There's a community there. You have the Indian native people, or whatever they're supposed to be called these days. And I'd probably get roasted for it if it actually got out. But Asta's community, her father and everything, they have their own rituals, their own routines, all of that. And the city, even itself, despite the psychotic mayor that you have now.
Yes.
It's like he's gone from Mayor Snowflake to just a psychotic guy. But I think there is a little bit of an interesting part to follow there. And I hope they can actually go, okay, he took a crazy turn, but he actually managed to get back to caring for his community. Because at the moment, it doesn't seem that he's on that track.
I know it's odd. I mean, I think I'm beginning to want to almost wonder if Girls' Night Out missed, but not in the way we think it did. I'm almost beginning to wonder if Girls' Night Out was supposed to be obnoxiously woke to be funny.
it was because they used the 76 cent in the dollar. Very nailed it on it. It had to be done deliberately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's the redhead lady? The fake colored red hair. She does the helicopter ride and it's like, hey, this is actually the numbers, and it's like, okay, it's actually fair enough. But literally minutes later, she's getting smashed and just drives her car into a tree or whatever it was. Drunk driving and everything, and she's getting protected by a few of her friends in the hospital, and all this like, oh, don't worry, we'll patch you up.
You thought about
Darcy.
Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy. No. So there is that balance. It's like, okay, hey, you do screw up, but this is again coming back to what I said about the American like potluck communities and events out and everything, where there's like family day, food and entertainment and all that. It's that tight-knit community. So I would say, despite her committing a major wrong, it is still that whole pickup, and it's like, hey, we're actually here to support you.
Yeah, well, what I mean is, but yeah, PJ, yeah, absolutely. That whole thing can only be. But I'm wondering. I'm almost beginning to wonder if we're reading it wrong. Obviously, we're all thinking current day. It was supposed to be a seriously woke episode. Woke. The whole idea was the wokeness. I'm beginning to wonder if maybe actually it was intended to. It wasn't intended to be a woke story. It was intended to be that deliberately bad to show just how bad and obnoxious I did.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Coming at it from not from the point of view of a woke writer writing a woke story with all these talking points that gets into everything these days. But
Well,
given everything else that
considering the
happened,
person that wrote it is the one who plays the Lady of Easy Virtue.
yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm saying, I'm just wondering if maybe we're getting it wrong. Is that we're so used to this in everything, and we've all been really happy with Resident Alien because there has been some of that in it, but a lot of it has been either very well done or it's taken the piss. This came as such a shock. Episode 4, what was it? 3, whatever, 3 wasn't it? Yeah,
I3 was the really bad
that
one. The girl.
maybe it was intended to be. The humor was supposed to be, this is what wokeness looks like when it goes really bad. If it was supposed to be, and it just, for some reason, it just didn't hit because we were treating it as if it was meant to be serious. If you see what I mean there. I'm not sure.
You mean we took it as in they put it out there without thinking it was silly?
Yeah, but maybe we were taking it that they put in it that it was okay. We're going to get a woke point in this. We've got to going to get all the the feminist good. All the women good and all the rest of it. That's a serious point, but maybe the way it's going through it possibly it wasn't. It was never meant to be serious as a serious part of the storyline. Maybe the whole point of that storyline was to be ridiculous.
Yeah, but
Rather
the
than
problem was, I think it failed in that because people saw it for what it looked like. It failed to disguise itself as farce, and it just came across as woke, and that's there. If they did mean it to go that way, that's where they failed.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it didn't. I'm almost beginning because the way the way they do most of the other storylines, it's almost as if that was just didn't hit, but it didn't hit from a different angle, as you say. It didn't hit, but I mean because the last 2 episodes they've not done anything that bad. They've done some, they've been pulling back from that. We've also got, of course, again some more storylines on both the sheriff and Liv, and Deputy Liv's, particularly on the sheriff, is that we get to see more of what happened and why he pulled out there. And you get to see Liv's getting more and more suspicious and wondering about this whole missing day that they've got. And then the sheriff bumps into the doctor at the family day thing, and tells about this. So Harry reprograms his memory again and seems to do it a little bit better. What I think he's done this time is, what he's done, I think he's just given the sheriff the memory of a good day, and that's it. He's let the sheriff's own, whereas before he gave a detailed story, this time what he's done is he's let the sheriff's own mind decide what it thinks a good day is. So the sheriff's filled in all the details, like going fishing with his dad.
Yeah, I liked it actually as a really nice touch.
Mm.
Well, whatever your preference would be, but like going out fishing with your dad, that would have been something for me with my dad, because obviously he lived basically first 20 years of his life without proper electricity. It's
Mm.
like, oh yeah, if you're lucky, you can get like the whole light to light up, but for the rest of the house is candles. But even so, that it was a nice touch thing, but I can see they're opening themselves up to a lot of different plot points here. And
Mm.
I kind of like it, and I hope they will play on them, because obviously his deputy
Well,
very nervously just went in and was like, "Oh, I think we had our minds wiped by an alien." It's like, "No, I remember perfectly what
Yeah.
happened that day. It's like it was a very good day." So she will probably start digging a little bit, and he will go, it's like, "Oh, hey, my dad said this and happened, and this didn't function," and it will be that picking apart of the timeline. And I
Maybe.
think
Yeah.
they have an opportunity to play it really well,
Yeah. Definitely.
and I hope they will, because they have so many plot point opportunities from that. Because now you have the deputy and the sheriff with two different recollection of what actually happened on that day.
Mm. It's the sort of thing that would have made a really good X-Files episode. Some of the little hints, some of the missing time and that, isn't it? It's the sort of thing that would have made a good, I say, would have made an interesting X-Files episode. You could see them doing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I mean, there is definitely. There's definitely yeah, there's definitely things there. I mean, as I said, I think it's almost as if there's two shows in there. It's almost, I think I said last week as well. It's almost as if there's the Harry alien fish out of water, learning to be human, save the human race thing in there story, and then you've got the X-Files Men in Black, Linda Hamilton's mob show. You know, you've got almost cleverly done two sides of the story, but perhaps with only 8 episodes, they've not got enough episodes to actually fill it out as much as they might like.
Yeah, there's definitely a risk that they will be dropping a few things.
Mm.
But because it seems that they have a very competent build-up of the story, but it feels like they're starting to play too many, what's it called, too many violins.
Too many strings to the bow, yeah.
Too many strings to the bow, yeah. And they will have to drop some of them and just like leave them behind, and never. They won't have the minutes to be able to continue filling them up,
Mm.
which is a shame, because I still enjoy this show.
Mm. Yeah, me too. That's why I think what they're probably going to do is I think it's going to be New York where the storylines with Harry and with the Linda Hamilton's people meet. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they may be that they may do that, and they may carry on over again into episode 8. PJ, you're absolutely right. Of course, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen there. It's going to. I mean, I'm interested to see what it is that's in New York for them. I think there might be a couple of episodes with they might be quite plotline heavy episodes, which would be good.
Well, considering the last 3, the 2 which were quite woke, and this one which is quite meh, it was not. It was a known entity, a filler episode, as you said, but it wasn't a filler episode that was, to me, it wasn't overly entertaining. There was 1 or 2 wee bits in it were good, like all about the sheriff. That was good. You got a bit more about the sheriff's backstory and why he's like that. You get
Mm.
the feel good moment at the end for the sheriff. But truthfully, what other parts of this story sort of jumped out and made it memorable? You know what I mean?
The definitely, I think the thing with the kid, but that seemed to be, as you said, that seemed to me to be another very well done humanizing Harry,
Mhm.
rather than plot, from that aspect, rather than driving the story per se. And the fact that the mayor fancies himself as a playwright for kids.
Yeah. And the problem is, I think the last 3 episodes have made it that I don't care enough if even after the last 2 episodes, this one, even the 1 or 2 bits that were good in it, I just felt I don't really care, and that's bad when a program after halfway through its season has basically made you think, "Yeah, I watch it, I don't," and it's a bad thing for a TV show to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the last 3 episodes have got to the point where you could turn around and go, am I gonna miss anything if I miss it?"
I
And
think
that's the unfortunate side effect of this.
mm, I think you probably wouldn't miss a great deal of story if you didn't watch the last 3 episodes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree with that fully. And, it's a bit of a sad thing because
because up until the
it's a TV show. You have limited amount of screen time.
mm,
mhm,
You need to make the story move forward. But these have been treading water.
yeah. See, the thing is
That's the
you could
best I can
take
say.
those 3 full episodes and the things you needed to find out, you could have done in a 10-minute trailer.
yeah,
Yeah.
So the 3 episodes, what is it, 40 minutes an episode?
about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's what, nearly 2 hours for 3
Yeah,
episodes.
obviously not read the Dark Horse comic book, so I don't know the original material.
Yeah.
But I would have assumed that even the comic books would have moved on way, way beyond this point.
See,
They
the bit with
may
the
make
daughter, you can
him,
see it's basically it just shows Harry's alienness, uh, shot
mm,
through because Alan Tudyk is obviously still very good. Even though he's been playing the part, it still looks as if he's fitting in, but then
yeah.
things happen, it just sort of knocks you back and realise that he's different. So he's good at portraying that aspect of it. So all this episode
But
did
yeah,
was say,
it
"Look,
is
he might look it, but he's no meant to be human." And it's just
mm,
basically
it
trying to tell you back to the
is him
beginning,
and
this is how
Asta.
he's not human.
Him and Asta are the ones carrying this. The sheriff is starting to bubble up a little bit and becoming quite interesting. But the mayor snowflake, absolutely not. His family, no. The kids, absolutely not. The girlfriends of Asta, it's like, why are you friends with these people?
mm.
Yeah. The 3 of them, the Judy, Asta and Darcy.
Darcy, yep.
Yes, you can see that they've just known each other a long time and their personalities are diverse. But because they grew up together, yes, they've still got a friendship there. However, yes, why would you hang around with someone who acts like that or does that type of thing? It's weird. Weird as hell. And the
Yeah,
problem is I'm starting to struggle watching it nowadays.
Well, I will say this episode actually, it wasn't like I felt I committed the time to it. It was like just watching it, and it was just running past. It's like, oh wow, that was a short episode. And I actually looked at it, it's like, hey, it was 45 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
Okay,
I felt as if it was 45 minutes, I could have done something better, like watch paint dry. or boil water.
Hmm.
It was literally it just seemed a non-event. The one or two wee
It was
bits,
definitely a
as I'm saying,
non-event.
that was a 5-minute thing in the whole 40 minutes.
Yes.
And it's that type of thing, and you're sitting there thinking, did it push the story forward? Not really. It just gave you some other things that if you didn't know, it's not going to change the story. So if you've missed this episode, you're not going to miss anything
No.
because last
No,
episode
I would
you got the
skip the
phone number.
past 2
Next
episodes.
episode they're going to go to New York. So
Hmm.
this episode did nothing to further the story.
No, I would have skipped the past 2 episodes and taken this one, replace all of them, and in like cover this episode. That would have been a perfect like, okay, we need to stall the story a little bit. This should have been the episode they aired 2 weeks ago. And
Mhm.
then let's get back into the action because you need to do the build up. You need to do something like you did in the first season where it's like, oh, hey, there's my ship, and oh no, crap, I have a stowaway and I
Yeah,
have to crash land my ship and I have to dismantle it into 4
yeah.
balls.
No matter what I think about last episode, the thing is, last episode was needed because Harry finally sent a signal. Harry, Arthur broke it, and Harry received the signal about New York. The episode before, the girls' night, did nothing. The
Yep.
episode afterwards, tonight's one we're talking about, did nothing. So if you take
Mm.
that episode 4, skip episode 3 and 5, and you go from 2 to 4 to 6, you're missing nothing in the story. There's nothing significant happening.
Yep. You're right.
So
I mean,
it's
there's little bits and pieces in there here and there.
But if
Like,
you miss them, they're not going to affect the story. That's what I'm saying. If you even miss the wee one or two wee bits that they say, that
yeah,
is quite and it's part of the story, but they're not significant enough to actually say if you miss that, you're going to not understand what's happening.
I mean, it's like, remind me that caravan or whatever it was, a mobile home, that the
Uh,
kids
yeah, that was the
had.
two guy, the colored guy and the psychopathic agent used that as their base, as an
Oh
operation.
right, so which will
Remember,
be
they stuck the telephone underneath it.
right,
To track
which
it.
will be why the guy knew to go back there and go because I was trying to work out. Okay, so they've got there to recover Harry's ball.
Yeah,
That's so wrong. Um, to carry to recover that bit of Harry's ship, let's say. Um, and then they discover it's gone, and so's the air and the rest of it. But I
yeah.
wonder what. But of course, yeah, if that was where the agents, if that's where Mirror Universe Dana and Scully were, Mulder and Scully were hiding out.
That's
That
exactly they were using it as a base because that's the bit where remember, Sahar
yeah,
walked out in front of her bike and
yeah,
give me $100 or we'll phone the police. Remember, and
yeah,
that's then
yeah,
she
yeah. I do
stuck
know.
the
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
underneath.
I said because
So
I was wondering because that it now makes sense of why um um Black Mulder has taken the stuff from that. That makes sense now. Thanks. Yeah, because I was wondering how did he know to go there to get it? But of course, if that's where they were, that would have been their stuff in the first place. So that makes sense. Yeah, thanks. But yes, we got that. We got that again. So again, seemingly another seemingly unconnected thing hiding out there, doing whatever it is that he's doing, which didn't seem to have much to do with storyline again.
yeah,
Yeah, it feels like they're I don't know. Are they getting comfortable? Or it's like, oh, there's a lot of people that love the first season,
hmm
so we can take a little bit of liberty. But it also feels like they're stalling far too much.
Yeah, I mean they've got
considering they
as
cut it down by 2 episodes and they're still
mm,
putting filler in it.
The I'm trying to think because they're doing this the usual the general convention I think in episodic TV still is that unless it's obviously different, each episode effectively is say a week apart.
Yeah.
Now
You
last
can't
week
actually do it. You can't say that, but because remember last episode, she goes to Jimmy's house. This episode, she wakes up in Jimmy's house. So basically, it's the next day.
oh right, okay. Thank you. No, because we know that they've got the limit they've now got apparently is 50 days, which is
No, 50 years.
so yes, it's 50 years, isn't it?
Aye, because it's remember he says.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
no, wait
Why
a minute. Was it
I said
50 days
50 days.
before he sent the signal? And he says they will. We will tell them not to destroy Earth
50
for
years,
50
yeah.
years. And
Yes,
then the
yeah.
signal failed.
So they've got 50 years. He's effectively got 50. So he's got 50 years to come up with a solution.
But is it 50 years? But the signal failed. So what was the time frame prior to the signal being sent? So if it was 50 days, then they've still got the 50 days, or significantly less, maybe a week or so less.
Yeah, I'm not sure they. Well, because 49 said, didn't they, that they were going to come back that they're still going to come back and destroy humanity.
The year, wasn't it? Was it within the year? So they had a year to sort it out. But see, the problem is, right, see last episode, the last season, they had 10 episodes, and that was to introduce the characters, to introduce the storyline, and just to work round it, right? This one, they've says, right, we'll get 8 episodes. So what is the story from A to Z? Well, we need to stop them coming end of season 2. We have to have a signal sent saying, don't come and wipe out Earth. Okay, how are we going to do that? A, B, C, and D. Right, that's only 4 episodes. What we're going to do for the other 4? Well, we'll just spread it out, and we'll just. And you're sitting there thinking, is the stuff they've got in the story so weak that they have to put in filler episodes, considering there's 2 episodes less than the first season?
Yeah, I mean,
and they still have to put 3 or 4 filler episodes in, which don't really go anywhere.
I mean, if they'd done something like when if they'd done something like he had, like your first episode is he comes back, his ship gets destroyed, yada yada yada, and he finds that and he thinks, okay, well that's like phew. Asta's going to survive. I don't care about the rest of humanity. The one I do care about is going to survive. That's fine. They're not going to come back. And then at the end of the first episode, he finds out that you know what's going to happen is there's a fail safe because you haven't gone back. The plans are still. They'll just send someone else to do it, or they send another way to do it.
Yeah, and because they said that, that's why I think the one who sent the signal is one that is gone native. So Harry was the failsafe for that other one.
Maybe
that's the way I think it.
Yeah,
that's the way I've been picturing it.
What I was going to say though is if they do that, okay, so that's one episode done out of the way. That's it. Right, okay, so then in order to, because his ship's been destroyed, he has got to get bits and pieces in order to construct the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So you've then got 7 episodes over which he's got to collect however many bits and pieces he needs. It can become the key to time. It's Resident Alien, the key to time. He's got to go and find 4 bits.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know. A little bit formulaic if they just stick down to that one, but it could work. He's got to go and he's got to find these things. How they do it within the small town community can be a little bit different, I suppose. But you
Well, the
could do
fact
that
is
bit.
the way they did that for the big piece they needed, but they did
Yeah,
it in the girls' night one
yeah,
where
exactly.
it absolutely, if you take that whole episode out, it makes zero difference. So him finding that meant nothing because you could skip over the fact he found it and just assume he built it.
Well, yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You could do, yeah. But what I'm saying though is that you could do that slightly more, and then he gets the bits and he builds it, and then the last episode is going to be hopefully the last 5 minutes of the last episode, or Act 3 of the last episode. He sends the message and puts them off, and then the last bit
Was he gets the signal back about the telephone number
well,
and
no,
then continue on from there.
yeah,
Then
no,
that
no, because
gives you the option to for season 3.
yeah, but yeah, you could no, but you could even put that in there in this series, and the last bit is okay, literally the last bit, almost post credit sequence, or whether literally the last bit is, he turns around and tells Asta, "You're safe for 50 years," and she goes ape shit,
Mhm.
right?
See, the way I would have done
Because
it as well, similar idea, is this episode, the 8 episodes, or this season, the 8 episodes, is yes, he's got to build that, so he has to get those parts, as you said, and the Men in Black or the Linda Hamilton's crew know there's an alien there because they
mm,
know it's not the Doctor now, so they know he still has to be there. So it would be them trying to find him, trying to stay quiet and
yeah,
sneaking in, and that's there's a bit there. So it could be silly with somebody else moving into town, and you don't know. You don't know. All you know is they've got people in town and you see the people, maybe the cars driving back with the tinted windows, but you don't know that these two new people who have been introduced for this season are actually Linda Hamilton until near the very end.
mm,
They're just
yeah.
people, it's just in the background, and it
It's
could
like
be done that way. And
yeah,
that's a whole season of Harry escaping them, still trying to build this, so he's trying to not draw attention to himself to send the signal, and then the signal could have been Astrid somehow knocks it over so it doesn't get sent, but he receives the signal from New York, and then it sets up for season 3,
yeah. But the thing
another
is,
alien, and it's all to do with the relationship there and how.
I mean, you could even leave leave the New York bit in this bit, so it goes off because you've got a storyline, an extra storyline, a difference that takes you away from the town, from the main story, which is fine if you're ongoing. And then the reason I said you do is the very last sequence, as you said before, as you said with the sequence with Max in the spaceship, you film that, and then if you get your third season, you leave that bit in so that the last episode is the last bit of the story is Asta going ape shit because we've got 50 years. You've got 50 years to do it. You 50 years, or a shorter period of time, maybe. And then if you don't, so your third series, that should lead into your third series. Or if you don't get that third series, then you just leave that last scene out and you finish the series.
Yeah, it would work that way. I quite
Yeah.
agree. But the that's the problem when they start writing themselves into a corner because
Mm.
it sort of parts your as you said don't make sense because the fillers in the second season. If you're getting to season 4 or 5, putting the occasional filler in here and there, yes, you can understand it because they're just basically they're running out of ideas. But in
Mm.
season 2, running out of ideas where they have to put filler episodes in shows it's failing. And I'll be surprised if it gets a third season, only for the simple fact is I think they've ran out of ideas for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hope they do. I hope it picks up, and I hope they do get a third season. Because hopefully, by the time they get around to a third season, a lot of this current day crap will have started dying out.
Yeah, the problem is, I don't honestly know if it will get a third season.
No.
I would have liked to think it would, but I think it's actually bit itself in the arse
Mm,
too much,
yeah.
because you see so many people after episode 3 that they've stopped watching it, and other ones are thinking, well, what's the point? Even Chris, even I'm getting to the point where I'm sitting there thinking, what's the point? Am I just watching it to review it, or am I actually watching it because I enjoy it?
Mm,
Is it is it like, well, the most recent one I've started watching is Reacher, and that was because Mega Geek Ian recommended it to
yeah.
me, and that the eight episodes of that were really good, and it finished in a cliffhanger. Very good to watch, quite interesting. The strong female characters were actually very good characters. They just so happen to be strong female characters.
Mm,
And whereas you're sitting there thinking, oh, this wee blonde who's 5 foot nothing, and she's going to be the one that does this and does it, and it's not. And even when she does, it's believable because it's not a case of she's standing there punching toe to toe. It's gunplay, and yes, that is just as she could be better in a gun than anybody else on screen because it's not physical strength; it's actually experience and skills, which anybody can have. So you don't need to be a big tall guy to carry a gun. Small woman carrying a gun and being very good with it. So she's taking out two guys, which is believable because she takes them out with a gun. She's not standing there punching them toe to toe. So even the strong female characters are literally very good, strong female
yeah.
characters. And that's where I think this one fails because they had a lot of very good female characters, but they sullied it with episode 3, where people look at it and go, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they basically went, right, what's this?
I don't know if you can share this or not,
I
Jim,
shared,
but I've got the viewing figures for season 1. Doesn't appear to be anything out for season 2 yet.
yeah. So,
Um,
right, go back up. So there you go. So episode 1 is the demographic, or the viewers was 1.079 million, and then 1.21, then
yeah,
0.8,
the
then 1.
average is 1.1227 million.
Which, considering at one point that would have been considered bad,
Hmm,
and considering what Az was going on about with Batwoman,
exactly what I was going to say.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh dear God.
and that's actually a hell of a lot worse than what season 1 and 2 of Batwoman had.
Yeah. I mean,
Batwoman now in season 3 and 4 is down at the point 6 and stuff like that. But they've
it
lost quite a lot. But considering what a lot of people said about these woke ones, that's not much better.
I mean, it obviously. I mean, as again, as us again says, you know, the best way to look at the viewing figures is that the viewing figures are an answer, our response to the last one. So it starts off with just over 1 million, and it ended. The finale had more had about about
400,000.
400,000 more than the premiere.
Yeah,
So the premiere is obviously going to go. It goes up, then it dropped horribly between episode 2 and 3.
yeah,
Massive, but then it got up. The net it picked up more.
yeah,
So it's picked up to its highest figures. Is
yeah.
episode
And that average
what, 5?
is ripped down because of that episode 3. I
Yeah,
would want to know what was happening on the 10th of the 2nd. So would that be, that's an American date. So it would have been the 10th of February.
10th of February. Yeah,
Valentine's weekend, maybe?
could well be. Yep, could well be.
Yep. So
Mhm.
the figures dropped and then come back up. But it's just one of those things. It's just I don't know if it are the viewing figures as strong or better. I don't think so.
Yeah, I was that's what I was looking for. I couldn't actually see see season two. I'm gonna kill that share for me. Just
Right.
yeah, and I'll have a look see if let's just see if recent Alien. I'm just looking at if there is anything for season two. Actually,
Yep.
TV show. Boom, 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 boom. I'm not. Resident Alien renewed for season two. So that's back last year.
Where is it? Resident Aliens. What TV is it? What TV did the review?
I'm not sure. Let's have a look at the Wikipedia. One I've got sci-fi show ratings.
Well, they're the one. I've got it for season
Oh, you
two.
got. Oh,
I've got it
excellent.
for season two. So for episode one, viewers was 1.36. So it'd gone up 26%. Episode two was 1.038. So it dropped again 23%. Then it was 1.09. So it gone up about 5%. Then 1.18, down 6%. And then it went down to 0.89. That was for episode five. Episode
Okay.
5 is down at just under 900,000, so it's 0.898, dropped 11%.
Yeah, I've got it. I mean, what have you got? I've found it on
TVfinalseries.com.
I've got Wikipedia's got them up here, but Wikipedia's not got stick it up. I'm gonna stick it up.
Right, I'll show you.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you share screen and we can everyone can see it.
But that's it there. So I'll zoom in. Hold on a sec. That's it there.
Yeah.
So it's season 2, the air date.
So it went
So
up.
that's what I'm saying. So considering it went up slightly, but it's just back down again, and I think it's going to drop off, and it's definitely been episode 3 and 4 that killed it. And I don't think episode 5 was strong enough to bring people back. I think it's going to drop further.
Now that's
So
interesting. They've got 10 episodes now. I wonder if that's just their standard settings.
yeah, I noticed that, but if that's just been a case of based on last season.
Yeah, maybe it'll be.
So
it went up by a quarter,
then dropped
down
again
by
straight
almost
away.
the same amount.
Yep. Then up, then down, and down again. So it's
Up and
basically
down.
1.3, then 1.1, then 1, then 9.9 in effect.
I mean,
if you're rounding them up.
interestingly, the demo was really good for the well.
First one.
Actually, I don't know. I don't know what a good demo is.
Well, accordingly, it's basically 0.23 is a percentage of the millions. So I think that's 0.23 is 230,000.
So is that 0.23? I don't know. Does the demo go up? I'm sure
So
the demo goes above 1.
It can. I think so. I think that's what I'm saying. It's 0.23. So it's 230,000 of that 1.36 million are within the 18 to 46.
Yeah, because
age
it doesn't actually say what that number represents, does it? Just
No, that I'm aware of.
no.
No, it's season the.
Well, it's the same site I was on, I think. So I didn't
It is
see
the same site.
I didn't clock link to season 2 on there. I don't know.
But no, I'm not entirely sure. But as far as I understand, is 0.23 is 230,000 from that 1.38 has watched it. So that's within the demo, 18 to 49. And as you
Yeah.
can see, it's went down to at 110,000 of the 900 or 898,000
Mm.
are basically
So
so
the demo stayed the same
for the last two,
for the last 2 weeks.
but it dropped considerably before.
What?
So it
Yeah.
went from 23 to 14 to 17
But
and down to 11.
you look at that's interesting because you've got both of those drops are quite the two drops on the demo are quite major. I mean, it dropped quite a bit between 2 and 3, between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
2 to
And then it goes
3
up a bit, then back
goes up,
down again.
then it goes down a little bit. So they lost slightly more than they gained after 3, and then they lost again after 4. Hmm.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So I think it's going to continue to drop. So I do. And
Yeah, you
I
could be
think
right
it's
now.
going to fail to get a third season based on that.
Yeah, because unfortunately, it doesn't push any of the right buttons to get season
Yeah.
after season after season,
Because if
failure
you
after
look at the
failure.
demos for season 1, the average is 0.19. The
Mm,
highest was 0.23 and the lowest was 0.14.
yeah,
So they had a decent, which is 0.19, considering that season 2, it started at 0.23, so it was the highest it had in the other one, and then it's just dropped considerably, whereas at the moment its average is 0.15. So it's
mm,
already dropped 40,000 within its demo from the actually it dropped from the demo, it dropped 120,000 within its demo, but
yeah,
the average is it's dropped 40,000. It's just weird. So it is.
yeah. So, I mean, the
But
Wikipedia one I've got up just gives figures. It doesn't give the it just gives raw figures. It doesn't actually give the percentage ups or downs and the rest of it.
yeah. But even if it's not going to get a season or not next season, what would you score this? And what would you say was its high point and low point?
I'll let Jim answer that one first because he's been
Right?
quiet for a while. Unless
He's
if he's
falling
still there,
asleep.
I think he might have done. Yeah.
I knew you were going to call on me. No, the high point for me was actually the way the whole father-daughter scene played out. I thought he was seriously going to mess it up, and they were going to extend it for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 episodes or something, and not let him be who he's really supposed to be. He's an alien after all. So that was a high point. The low point is it was just another stalling episode. It was just like a filler episode. But overall, I would probably put this at a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go along with that. A 7 again. I think probably. Maybe I can't remember what I gave that last week. I think the low point. I don't know if this was a low point particularly, but there wasn't. I don't think anything that made me go, "Hey, oh God." The lowish point would probably be the fact that there wasn't much in the way of a continuation of the story. We're not a lot further along. The high point for me, I think, actually, was that we now know. Yeah, yes, yeah, I agree with you, Jim. The story with the daughter was really good. Was really well done, especially for what was basically a filler mostly. But I quite like the fact that we learned a little bit more about the sheriff. and live. And I thought, and I may be reading something more into it, but I thought that, I mean, the difference between Harry, when he effectively gave them false memories of that day, all the way through to the FBI taking over and all the rest of it, and then when he, from what I could see, when he gave the sheriff, redid the sheriff's memory, he let he did it in such a way that the sheriff built it in. So Harry has perhaps realised that maybe it's better to let the human mind fill in something than to actually give it a full story. I thought that was an interesting development as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's if I'm reading it right, it might just have been that it was written that way. There was no.
I think because it was either that part or the fact that he was talking about how he didn't want to forget, because he's forgetting things and his dad's dying and he doesn't want to forget that, so he wants his memory to be whole. So maybe Harry's actually used that and gave him the memory.
Yeah, now that you're mentioning that, I think we're probably going to get a sad episode where Sheriff's dad is dying or die.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Harry's definitely seems to be becoming more. I don't know if I necessarily want to say empathetic, but I think more understanding of humanity and more empathetic might be more empathetic towards humanity as a species, is the fact that they are different from him and they do have feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, see, with me, because I felt this was a very unknown entity of an episode, I would give it a 5. And it's literally because one way or the other, it made zero difference. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. So a 5 right down the middle. The one or two bits, the good bit was, I think, the bit at the end with the sheriff getting his good memory. So it's a way for him not to want to dig in because it will destroy his memory if he dig me. But the bad part of that was Liv. Oh, I think we were abducted by aliens and my head were mine, and then no, my memory's fine. And she goes, oh, and walks away. The good part and the bad part were the same part. One got a good memory, and the other one actually finally came forward with her understanding, just to be fobbed off and silly. Don't be silly. And, no, I don't believe in aliens. Aliens don't exist. That was just me making it all up with Max telling her. It's that again. It's trying to drive Liv into that non-entity part again when they built her up. So those two parts, the good part and the bad part, were effectively the same part. But it's just an unfortunate thing. It's one of those ones that if I had actually, this was one of the first episodes I'd seen, probably wouldn't tune in to the next week one because it was a known entity, and I can understand why their demos are all over the place because this season has been mediocre because it's not driven forward fast enough.
Yeah.
And considering they've actually already said there is an agency trying to track them, where have they been? You've seen them twice. David.
Well, it is not the fact that it hasn't been driven forward fast enough. It hasn't been driven forward at all. Literally since the second episode of this season, they've just been treading water.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing moving the story forward.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So you've got the agencies trying to track them down. Where have they been? You've seen David twice, and he's not even part of the agency. He's hiding from them just so he doesn't get killed. But you don't know what he's doing. All you just see him as he's found the artifact, and oh, he spilled his coffee on it, and then a surprise, they started flowing over the top of it. That was coincidental. Yeah, I mean, it's
but that took them 5 episodes to get to that.
But that's what I'm saying. So you've had him in it twice. And that's what I'm saying. You've got an agency chasing them, but they've not been anywhere. And the only person you've seen is him, and he's not even part of the agency. He's hiding from the agency. So they've got that there, but they've done nothing with it.
Mm.
And that's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. It's a very mediocre episode because of that. They don't move it forward at all, which is another unfortunate side effect.
But you even have that across that whole storyline about this, shall we say, rogue agent now. What kind of
But
Mickey
is
Mouse
it a rogue
operation
agent?
are they running?
He's just been sitting in a room, and now he's actually got a computer, which you don't know what he's doing with it. All you know, he's got a computer and a satellite link.
Exactly. This
And
is
if
what
he's
I was
hiding out, how
aiming
is he
at.
doing it? Is he logging in remotely? And they know he's now alive and out there. You see what I mean? It makes no sense with that, because if he's hiding from them, how is he
Exactly,
going
but
to
it
actually?
makes sorry, that entire organization very Mickey Mousey, kind of was like, what is this Disney Breakfast Club kind of organization that's supposed to be clandestine and
And
all
that's
that
when you
nonsense?
know that people who write these things have got zero understanding.
Yeah, I
So
mean, they
if you've
would have
actually
killed him as
terminated
soon as he
someone, you
left
don't leave
the
their
squad.
login active.
Yeah, they would have killed him as soon as he left the squad. And it was like,
But even if they were going to, but remember they couldn't, because it was in public. He managed to get away, so he's been hiding. But the fact is, the first
really,
thing you would
you
do
would have
is you would
sent the
remove his
psychopath
access.
pretend girlfriend after him. She would have wasted him in 5 minutes, and all of it would have been done off screen. It's like,
Yes,
yep, done and dusted. He's dead.
no, yes, but what I'm saying is they showed why he didn't get killed, because it was in public and he's been hiding. So, but that part he's been hiding. Now he's logging into the system. So any organization knows that if you get rid of someone, you shut their accounts down. They've left his account open so he could log in and still track all this with his computer and everything. You're sitting there thinking, really?
Exactly. And just to bring up one of your beloved favorite, Bruce Campbell, burn notice.
Mm-hmm.
The guy literally gets completely burned. He has no credit, no cards. He can't get the bank account. He can't get nothing. And he's dropped in Miami and told, do not leave the city. That is what would happen when there is a more serious organization or more competent organization behind it.
Yep. But that's the thing. It's just a case of the people who write these don't understand that he wouldn't be able to log in. He wouldn't be able to use a computer like that and use their systems like that. He could get a computer, he could pay cash, he could hide, dig me, yes. But as soon as he uses their systems, they're going to know, they're going to be tracking him. It's not like he's actually just trying to hack into Toys R Us to buy a new computer. He's uh, accessing government technology, and they've basically still got access, even though he's in hiding. Really? Even if he had, do you think he'd be stupid enough to actually be sitting there with it all out the back, hooked up?
Yeah, one,
It's a bit crazy in that respect.
one wonders if some of these writers are so young, without actually meaning to be offensive, that they've grown up and they literally can't understand. They literally have no connection to the concept of not being able to get online.
I think you're actually onto something there, Glenn. It's something because I work in IT support, make sure people can do the computer stuff and everything. And even this, I know it's a meme by this time, brought forward by the IT Crowd TV show. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah.
Okay, you've done that. There may be a few other things that are actually at play. That's where I actually come in, supporting you, making sure that you can get back on track.
Yeah.
But this current generation, I think you're actually onto something. They had the iPhone. Let's just press something on the screen and expect it to work. No, that's not how computers work at all. There has to be connectivity. You have to set up your printer. You have to connect it securely to your home Wi-Fi. You have to secure the stuff and like button it down and make sure that it's only you that can get your Facebook account and everything. And they have no idea. They just download the app and goes like, "Oh, here's my fingerprint. That's my Facebook account. And that's my entire history, my high school records, my university diplomas, my CV, my background, everything. Anyone can steal it."
Yeah. I mean, you sort of theoretically here, supposedly, you have no idea how real these stories are of people thinking, okay, well, what are you going to do for milk? You know, where does milk come from? Well, it comes from the grocery store.
Yeah.
You know,
Have you noticed? Because I know I think I sort of know where you're going. Have you noticed that there are no vegans or vegetarians living on the countryside owning and operating a farm?
doesn't surprise me. I mean, I literally, I don't know if that is a trope or if that is actually real. But you can imagine it, that people don't actually. There are people, people live in cities. I mean, you had those pictures coming out of was it Seattle or Portland, whatever the hell it was, a couple of years ago. Well, apparently they thought the idea of a farm was half a dozen plants growing on a cardboard box or something.
Yeah. I mean, I have absolutely nothing against people going vegetarian or vegan or anything, and they go and it's like they find it absolutely atrocious. You have to kill an animal, and that's how you get the steak or mincemeat or spag bowl or whatever it is. I can understand that, yes, because I grew up on a farm. I know that there is. It is not the nicest thing, but yes, it's food for you for the next like couple of months and all that.
Yeah.
No.
But I
The
can
best one
understand
I had,
if you've grown up in a city and the closest proximity you get to the food chain is an Amazon automated supermarket checkout where you don't even talk to a teller at the end. You just walk in, pick stuff up, and click your phone, and off you go. I
Yeah.
can understand how they are so disconnected from what it actually takes to put food on your table.
see
Oh
that
yeah.
no, it's the hypocrisy of it as well. I'll give you an example. I was at college, and the girl she stood up. I did my speech on Doctor Who, believe it or not. Surprise, surprise. She did hers
Hey,
on vegetarianism, and her argument was, if you want to eat meat, then you should hunt and kill the animal yourself. And I said, that's a very good point. So how many acres of garden do you have? She says, I don't have a garden. I live in a flat. I says, oh, so where'd you get your vegetables? She says, I buy them at the shop. I says, so it's okay for you to buy them at the shop, but I have to hunt my own. I said, but that's different. I says,
uh,
why? You can grow plants. But I don't have the facilities to do it. I says, and I've got the facilities to go and hunt for my food. But you've not got the facilities to grow yours, but you're okay with somebody else doing it for you and preparing it and putting it into the shop so you can buy it. But me, because it's meat, I have to do it myself. But that's different. That's the hypocrisy of
uh,
it.
I saw Bill Gates was part of one of these famous YouTuber videos. It goes like, "Oh, this is not a meat burger," and they were showing like, "Okay, this is America. There's like a 1/5 of America is taken up by raising cattle and everything." And then they showed an even smaller circle, like not even 10% of America. Oh, this is all the land you need to grow vegetables. And I'm just going, Do you know what vegetables actually require to grow? They require that big square you're showing next to it, because whatever they poop out, you chuck into the dirt, mix it up, and your carrots and cucumber and watermelons or whatever you want, they grow from that. So in order to have that tiny little square, you need the animal square. But the
Yeah,
animals
you
can
need the
also be
fertilizer.
used for food.
But that's it's the hypocrisy of it, because it's okay for us. We're allowed to do this, but you don't. And no. And my argument is, see, when you start growing your own food and eating the food that you grow and don't buy anymore, then I'll maybe consider go hunting for my food, go fishing. Yes, but until that point, why should you be able to buy your food in the shop and I'm not?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, I'm okay with some people being vegetarian and
No, if
following
they,
the
I
belief
don't have an
and
issue. It's when they
everything.
start telling you how to live your life because they're
Yeah, yeah, but
vegetarian. You should be.
them demanding that the 10 billion people that were on this planet, I don't believe the projection that, oh, we're still only 7 billion. We've been stuck at 7 billion since like the 1980s.
I thought it was
You
8.2.
definitely,
I thought it was 8.2 billion.
yeah, but you know the projections of where it's like, I've been told it's like 7 billion since 1990s. It's like, really? No, I don't believe that. It's definitely closer to 10 billion. Now, for me to alone, just me, if I went completely vegetarian and I was willing to destroy the soil that I was using, I'd still need something like 200 square meters to plant potatoes. And I had to double plant them. So I will strip all the nutrients from the soils. I will grow a desert within 5 years using my plot.
Yep.
You need to rotate your plot. So if you have 50 square meters, you need another 50 square meters and another 50 square meters. So you can rotate them every 2 or 3 years to let the other plots rest and
Mission is the
grow
thing.
back the energy.
But
Yeah,
remember, they don't need to do that. All they need to do is put cardboard down.
yeah, no, that doesn't work.
But that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not Resident Alien, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
But no, it actually sort of comes back to Resident Evil because he's here to tell us, hey, you guys have effed up your planet. We're gonna kill all of you
Which they
because
should.
you effed up your planet,
Yep.
and it's because people haven't started getting
But
wise
see,
with
the
what they're
problem
doing.
is they forgot one thing. The aliens, once they've destroyed humanity, will F up the planet unless they come down and housekeep.
Well,
Because
I'm actually getting the gist
who's
that
going to
they're
maintain
not
all
effing
those
up.
nuclear um,
I get,
places? So they
I
get rid
get the
of the
gist.
human
They will
race,
not say
and
to F
then
up the
nobody's
planet.
monitoring these nuclear reactors
Well,
for
yeah.
fuel
Yeah.
across the globe. So they're suddenly
It-
going to go, which means maybe even a quarter of the globe's going to be uninhabitable by anything. So
which
unless
we're already
aliens are
doing
going
in
to
all
housekeep,
fairness.
unless the aliens are going to housekeep, then getting rid of the human population is going to do major damage.
Well, but you don't know. I mean, they might have plans to then come in and look at
Remember, he was just going to fire it and leave. Remember,
yeah, but you don't know what was going to happen afterwards. See, I mean, it might have been that they would kill it. You know, would they
yes,
kill
but
it?
you can't assume it because the fact is you
No.
saw him firing it as he was leaving, and then just decided to drop it off somewhere else instead. It was implied that they were just going to drop it, kill it, and then leave the Earth to recover from humanity. So the fact that
Yeah, a fair point.
have you seen
They never really mentioned that.
Have you seen the YouTube videos Life Without Humans? What would happen
Life
if
after
the
man.
humans Life Without Man, it's basically what would
Yeah.
happen if humans disappeared overnight?
Yes,
And then
I've
it
got.
tells you like, all about dogs dying and because they're in the house and there's no water, no food, then Then gradually other ones would survive. Then it goes on about 5 years down the line, or
Yeah,
6 months down the line, you've got this. Then you've got
I've
all
got the
the
series of
nuclear.
those somewhere.
You've got all the nuclear reactors going because nobody's maintaining them. And it's all that. So the amount of damage to the earth is still significant. But that's what I'm saying. So unfortunately, I think the actual earth needs to go. Where's the Vogon fleet when you need it? The Vogon constructor fleet when you need it.
Practicing their poetry.
Yes, I know. It's unfortunate, but that's what I'm saying. This TV show, the only light at the end of the tunnel is Harry might succeed and get through.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at a TV program, wishing it actually didn't finish that way, the way it's meant to finish, with humans are safe. No, we want to see it the other way.
Yeah. When you're actually rooting for the aliens to destroy humanity, there's
Yes,
something wrong with humanity.
yes, exactly. Humanity's on its way out. They keep on doing it. The difference is when the Roman civilization fell, the there was it they couldn't actually press a button and take everything with them. When the current civilization falls, it's taking everything with it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Because when Rome fell, it just basically the transition to the Dark Ages, as you say they call it. Now,
I hate that phrase, but
I hate the phrase, but I understand why they call it the Dark
yes.
Ages.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
they called it the Dark Ages because there was not a lot of information, no written
Exactly.
records and such like that. But
Yeah.
with this current revolution of the
Actually, the Dark
civilization,
Ages is a little bit more nefarious to it. It was
it's
the spread of Christianity happening at the same time,
yes,
and
but
you
they
you
call it
couldn't
even
translate.
archaeology. They call it the Dark Ages because it was a lack of information,
It
the
is a
lack
lack
of
of
written.
information, but it was the Christianity that was leading the front of it. It's like, how dare you question the God of the world? The earth is, wow. They
Yes,
didn't
but
say flat,
Christianity actually
but it was like
basically
earth is
had a
center of the
written,
universe.
but Christianity had written text, and even at that,
Yeah, but they
it was
refused to
still.
translate them so that you could understand
I
it
know,
in
but
your own
no,
language.
no, no. But the archaeologists still call it at the Dark Ages. It's nothing to do with the fact is they can translate it now, but they still call it the Dark Ages because there's not a lot of written information about it.
Yeah.
Yes, there's certain certain places that had written information, but it wasn't widespread across English. So that's why
Yeah.
they've got an idea of how things happen, but because there's no written record, they can't say. They can just
Yeah.
theorize a lot based on other things that happened around the globe. But what I'm saying is this current civilization, current
Yeah.
once they go,
Old
they'll take
era, and
everything
I
with them.
think
They'll take everything with them. So it won't be like the fall of Rome and it just transitions to the Dark Ages. When the current level of civilization, because it heightens and then it gets what's the word? What happened to Rome just before it fell? It became decadent,
Mm.
and
yeah,
that's why it fell.
he was
We're at the
already
point it's
starting to
we're
rotten
at the
from the
point it's
inside.
become decadent. So
Yeah.
we're at that point where Rome was, it was become decadent, and then it fell. We're at the decadence level, and the thing is, when it falls, it's going to fall hard because there's people with buttons.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. There's people with buttons, so when this current iteration of civilization goes, it's taking everything with it. We're not only burning the bridges, we're ripping them up before we burn them. But then again, I'm nihilistic, and you know me with nihilism.
Well, I wouldn't say it's exactly that level of it, but it is still that whole concept that if we hadn't had the Dark Ages, we would have been 300 years in advancement of society. We would have had computers in the 1600s.
Actually, I
super
disagree
advanced.
because the human cycle repeats itself. So no,
Yeah.
we'll get to the point where all the knowledge we've got will be forgotten again, and then it'll have to be relearned.
I
Yeah,
know what
Even though we've got it
if
written, even though
internet
we've got it written
falls,
down, and like me back, they say, well, we've got it written down and backed up. Yeah, that's assuming people will be able to read their USB sticks and memory sticks and
yeah,
phones.
I agree with you that if internet falls, we will literally get a reset 300 years in terms of knowledge, understanding, scientific advancement, everything. And that's considering the fact that the internet has not really been around. It was what 65, 1965 when
Well,
actually internet.
65 with the military aspect of it. So you're talking about 74 before it became public.
Yes, and if internet falls, with all the schooling, the stuff we do today, it would be obliterated. We would fall back into the 16 or 1700s in terms of knowledge.
I know what would have happened if Rome hadn't fallen because I saw that episode, that story of the Tomorrow People.
Mm.
I know exactly what would have happened. I know
Hey,
what the aliens.
I've seen it in Star Trek, so I know
Well,
what's
yeah.
going to happen. It will all
Uh,
be the sun.
But not only Star Trek. Take Stargate. The people placed on other planets that came from Earth.
Yes, but we're talking about what would happen if Rome hadn't fallen. We saw it in Star Trek, the original series. Remember?
Yes, there is that one too. Yeah, that's a very, very solid argument.
The fucking hell.
So that's it. That's the thing. But let's actually not go down the doom and gloom.
Well, with everything
we'll do
that's
is
going
we'll
on,
finish
we
off
just
by
went out of a
saying,
pandemic and we just gone into, hey, there is something going boom somewhere.
yes, but what we'll do is we'll finish off this by saying, what do you hope for next week or the next couple of weeks on the show?
I sincerely hope they advance the story a little bit. They need to bring it back to Tudyk's character. They need to refocus this a little bit. And I know they will probably do like a New York event, but I have a feeling they will stretch it out. They will make it a road trip rather than whoop, we went there instantly, like magic. And I think if they do it that way, it's going to really ruin the story because they have such limited time left to play out this season. They need to bring something forward.
I have a feeling that they're going to go to. It just occurred to me out in passing. Actually. Hello? Just occurred to me in passing.
Sorry for the wrong button click. That was
Right. I
meant
thought someone was applauding my opinion. Self-affirmation, how nice.
Well, you know you got my support, Colin.
It just occurred to me, actually. I'm not sure. Where is it? They're in Montana, aren't they?
Again?
Is it Montana? No, they're Colorado.
It's California.
No, Colorado.
No, Colorado.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. I wonder how they're going to get to New York. Because if they fly, will any of the security machines pick up that Harry's an alien? Just literally occurred to me as you were talking, Jim. But I think they're going to go to New York. I think in the first episode, from what the synopsis there seems to be, I think something's going to happen, and I think they're going to come up against. I think that's where they're going to come up against Linda Hamilton's people, and there's probably going to be a cliffhanger ending at the end of next week's episode. And then it's effectively be a two-parter. They'll solve that. whatever happens, they'll get what they need, solve that in episode 7, and get back at the end of episode 7. Any more than that, I don't know. I mean, I think they're gonna, because I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know what they're gonna find. I mean, because there's another one. There's another one of Harry's people. We've had no hints so far that Harry was there to back up a previous operative. So I think it might end up being someone who's just got stranded on Earth in New York. Possibly unconnected with Harry's mission. But it'll be interesting to see.
Curious thought there around the New York. Do you think it's going to be something like an Englishman in New York? Because they have been picking up on a lot of famous tunes or soundtracks. Instead of an alien in New York, it's going to be the Englishman in New York.
Well, it's not the actual line, I'm an alien, I'm a legal alien. Isn't that the actual line of the song? Yeah, well, I'm an alien in New York. Yeah. I don't know, I suspect that may well have been the inspiration for the line may be an inspiration for the episode title.
To me, that's somebody think they're being clever.
Then again, it's as long as they don't turn into a musical episode. But that's just something occurred to me. I wonder if they'll do something. I wonder how long Harry's people live. Does something really sneaky. I wonder if the alien, the alien that they're going to see. Let's try to avoid that particular phrase, and I was all start singing. Will turn out to have been there since, say, 1947. Came down to somewhere in New Mexico. just the thought. I mean, if they were
I think you've actually hit it right in the head, because they would have probably been the original one that was sent on the mission.
Yeah.
Hence the reason, remember, I think at the beginning Harry says that he wasn't even meant to land. He was meant to drop his payload and not land. So maybe it was because the first one disappeared. Maybe they reckoned that he landed. This one, and he got hit with lightning again, because they reckon the first one, the one in 1947, was hit by lightning. That's why it came down. And so, is it, as you said, has he been there since 1947, Roswell?
Yeah, was the guy? Did he come down at Roswell? You
can guarantee that's what they're going to do. You can guarantee it.
If they do it right, I don't think so. But if they do it right, that could actually be very funny, very cleverly done.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that, but I think that is far too clever.
And it'll be something like he'll be a computer guy, or else he'll own a business that is sort of does with technology, and it's him. It's releasing all the wee bits of technology into the world. So he's the one that's actually showing them how to microchip instead of valves. And he's
now you're stealing the storyline from Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
but I'm not opposed to it. I'm just going to say, okay, if they went down that route, they would definitely be pilfering of sci-fi shows from 30 years ago. I think the Star Trek Voyager one was 1997.
I think it was, but I know what one you're talking about is the one where
it's where the Doctor gets his hard.
Yes, it's the guy. It's the guy. It's in Reacher, the one who's the chief of police in Reacher.
I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen
he's the one that actually goes back in time in Voyager.
I've just had another idea. So really, if something really silly, they're in Colorado, aren't they? On their way back, they stop in Boulder, and someone walks out and says "Nanu, Nanu" to them.
Nah, it's too clever. It'll
I
be
just
too
said more
clever.
than you were saying Boulder.
It will be too clever with that one because there is other ones that they've done. I think the Roswell one is more likely.
Well, if I see Pam Dawber guest starring in that,
Yes.
oh, that would be hilarious.
Yep.
No, I
But,
said
the state that at this moment with this TV show is you have so much potential to play off of.
yeah,
If you have the budget or the bravery, you could even bring in, and this is just a flash to my mind at this very moment. You could have actually dragged in William Shatner for the next episode, surprise Flash appearance, and just let him just rip everything apart, and it would cause such a chaos that you wouldn't know where the next episode would go to.
yeah. Oh God.
The thing is, they will use stock footage of New York. You'll not see them actually in New York. You'll see them in buildings.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'll not. They'll not be. I don't. They will not be in New York. There won't be. There wouldn't have been any filming. I don't think in New York.
No, I
doubt
don't
it.
think this TV show has been a lot of the budget for a proper go to New York and do stuff.
Yeah,
So-
I would highly doubt that.
So fingers crossed it gets better for next week. So
Mm.
what we'll do is we'll finish there. Considering I got 2 7s and a 5, so 19 out of 30. Aye, 19 out of 30. That's right. I think that's actually slightly better than 3, but not as good as 4.
It's way better than
I
three.
think the general consensus, even though we still have our reserve, is that this episode was much better than the last two that came before it. Because even though this one is still a filler, it was a better filler. It actually filled us up than the past two did.
Yeah. But I know it's one of those things. The thing is, we need to actually hope it gets better for next week. Fingers crossed. So what we'll do is we'll finish it there. Thank you everyone for joining us. Resident Alien episode 6 next week, next Sunday. We'll see you then. And remember, ladies and gents, I ain't old. I'm classic. PJ maybe, Colin and Jim,